Still moving on in the hearts, the minds of so many people. And this morning we want to look at the contribution of cooperatives towards economic independence. How do we use this mode of cooperatives to attain economic independence? Yesterday, His Excellency revealed to us that 67% of Ugandans are now in the money economy. And one of the programs he was talking about, or the method that has been used, is the cooperative model, when he attributed this success to wealth creation programs, youth livelihood programs. Now we talked of the Emyoga, he talked of the parish development model. Now that is a vehicle that we believe will cause that transformation and bring the 39% of our population that are still in poverty into the money economy. Now, when you hear the cooperative model, you definitely know that I have the man cooperatives with me in studios and someone else from Uganda Cooperative Alliance with whom we are going to be discussing how do we as a country attain economic independence through cooperatives. Now, join me welcome Ivan Asimwe, who happens to be the Secretary General, Uganda Cooperative Alliance. But he loves to be referred to. One time he was telling me, Chidabo, for us we are General Secretaries, not Secretary General. He's the Secretary General is for something he said, and I reserve that. But for today, I have I have Ivan Asimwe, and welcome to the show, Ivan.
Thank you so much, moderator. Pleasure to be here. Good morning, all our viewers.
And just next to me, I have Hainza Justin, who happens to be in charge of partnerships at the Uganda Cooperative Alliance. Hope I've gotten it right this time. A lovely morning to you.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Happy Independence.
And to begin with, now, Ivan, our government has prioritized so much the cooperative model when giving money to people, churning out money to people, and the government believes that this is one of the models that can propel us to economic growth and also help us get the 39% into the money economy who are not there. First, briefly, because every day I have a new viewer, when we talk about the cooperative model, when we talk about cooperatives, briefly, what do we mean?
Oh, thank you so much once again, and good morning all our viewers. First of all, I want to thank UBC as usual for this opportunity. Very wonderful opportunity where the cooperators come here, discuss, deliberate on issues of national importance. I want to congratulate all Ugandans upon yesterday's celebrations. Yesterday we all celebrated the 62nd Independence Day, and here we are commemorating the fact that we are independent 60 years ago, 62 years ago, and that one also takes us to the cooperative movement. You know, cooperative started a long time ago, 1913 in Uganda. 1961, before independence, 17th of June, Uganda Cooperative Alliance was formed. So in other words, it is older than the country itself. So when the country is celebrating 62 years, for us we are celebrating 63 years as Uganda Cooperative Alliance. Very briefly, when you ask about what is a cooperative ideally means an autonomous association of persons, me and you, united voluntarily to meet our social, economic, cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. It means we sit together, look at a problem ahead of us or an opportunity, and then position ourselves. How do we take advantage of this opportunity as a group, not as an individual? That's a cooperative. Take an example. We are cattle keepers, and possibly our challenge, we have gotten an opportunity, we have the market for milk. So, and myself as Ivan, I cannot satisfy the market. So what do? Organize my farmers and then aggregate our milk together, add value and enter the market. that is ideally a cooperative. And the cooperative is initiated by the members themselves, not Chirabo or Ivan going and telling them, you form and we give. I want to clarify this one very clearly so that we all understand what a cooperative stands for. Because globally, how cooperative started was out of opportunities and even challenges. Because you'll find that on the 17th of March, on the 14th of March 1761 in Scotland, as the weavers are seated in a room working, one of them brings an idea that you people, why don't we cooperate? Why don't we work together as a team if we are to move faster? Then they formed the first cooperative society of informal nature. 1844 in Rochide, still the weavers, as they are seated together during the cold conditions, there was too much demand for cloth. So these people again, I hatched an idea of working together, and that's a cooperative society of Rochide. In 1913 in Uganda, because of too much exploitation of our farmers by organized middlemen, 4 farmers brought an idea and said, you people, enough is enough. We cannot continue suffering. We need to control our products. And then eventually they formed the Chinakulia in 1913. Now, this one takes us to our good topic of today, the contribution of cooperatives towards economic independence. Because we can see that all of these, looking at the history of cooperatives, ideally the cooperators were focusing on economic independence. In Uganda here today, 1913, economic independence was due to the fact that they saw too much exploitation by the middlemen, where these were farmers, coffee, maize and other produce. But they were not controlling their produce. Their produce was in the hands of the middlemen. So when they lost that control, they said, no, enough is enough, let's control our produce. Because when you talk about economic independence, it means the ability of me and you to come together, control our produce, or control or benefit financially, or control ourselves financially without external support.
Well explained, without external support, and of course now you have a clear picture of what cooperatives are, and of course even the entire history of the formation here in Uganda and all that has been given. Now I want to bring in Justin here. When we talk about the cooperative movement in Uganda, help us understand how are we doing of late, because it's very important that the vehicle we are looking at as being able to bring Ugandans to economic independence. How have Ugandans embraced it? Are cooperatives vibrant? Is it a thing that anyone understands? Or are we still thinking of the history that we once had cooperatives?
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Chirabo. Today, when you look at the cooperative movement, it has made a very big stride. Yesterday, when the president was in Busia, he talked about using the cooperative model when he talks about the PDM, the MIOGAs. And when you look at the longer vision, when you look at Vision 2040, we are talking about achieving higher household incomes through employment and for socio-economic transformation. And the president stated, actually, when we engage with the economists, they tell us that currently, Uganda, our projections, by the end of the financial 2024-25, they hope that our economy will have grown to around 57.5 USD dollars by growth. But that's if we have used the exchange rate, the foreign exchange rate. But if we are to use the combined effort, these are like the models that we are bringing on board, the public-private partnerships, where we have other players on board. The projection is by the end of the financial 2024-25, we shall have grown up to USD 163.3. So we see that the cooperative model is one of the vehicles we can indeed use. We project that I want to see Uganda grow to a projections of USD, even $500 billion. So how do we attain this? We thank the president so much for highlighting the cooperative. When he talks about PDM, when he talks about Emyoga, these are cooperatives. And indeed we have seen. Today we are talking about 18 million Ugandans who are cooperators. We have around 557 cooperatives countrywide. So we have grown, but we want to see today as Uganda Cooperative Alliance, we come here to see that how do we translate, how do we work with Ugandans into this economic journey? How do we become that the vehicle? How do we use the cooperative model to walk into the socio-economic transformation, the desired economy? We're talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, the African Agenda, the Vision 2040 of the East African Community, and our own Vision 2040. So we are coming in to say that as Uganda Cooperative Alliance, we have the structures, we have the members. All we need to do is to government to engage us, to tap onto us. We have, by the way, models. We have development models. We have the FACT methodology. This one targets equipping members with the skills, with the needed expertise of writing proposals. We have the UCA, Uganda Cooperative Alliance tripartite model, where we have a cooperator who belongs to a circle, and at the same time they belong to a cooperative. When the president is talking about a model to use, a vehicle, there is no better model than the Uganda Cooperative Alliance model. Because when a member belongs to a circle, that means you will have access to finance, you will have access to capital to carry on whatever business that you want. The General Secretary has talked about cooperatives. For us in cooperatives, we work on principles. In fact, the other day they were talking about issues of the framework for Emyoga, for PDM. We should tap into the expertise of UCA. If we all moved according to the cooperative principles, we would even not have issues. Because now today we are talking about socio-economic transformation. This is our third pillar as cooperatives. Socio-economic benefit. In cooperatives, our target is to have all members have their incomes improve. We want to see not only on the other issues of leadership, but we also actually want to carry out social audits now. How have these cooperatives transformed the people of Uganda? How have we grown? So, Mr. Chirabo, cooperatives are even on a higher rise, but we only need to bring the technical expertise to guide, especially the newly formed cooperatives, the Emyoga and the PDMs. Today, we're talking about industrialization. When you look at Vision 2040, the biggest target now, the biggest vehicle is industrialization. UCA has carried out a research. The agro-processing facilities, our General Secretary talked about it. There are over 275, like those ones which were only carried out during the CAIP, that Community Agriculture Infrastructure Improvement Program. These are lying idle. And now the General Secretary leads us. We go to the field. We've done a study. We want to tap onto the cooperatives, which the circles, the cooperatives which are around these facilities. We want to mobilize them to tap into these existing facilities. Government puts up these facilities. They are lying idle. The research we did, as you see, shows they are not being tapped into. But we are saying, look here, cooperators are all around these cooperatives. How do we, the agro-processing facilities, if industrialization is the process that we are taking on, then let's mobilize the communities. Let's engage them, engage us to reach out. We're already in touch with these people. Emyoga, the people are going to start production. So we are talking about the market, the market for these products. The president was talking about the 3 C's and the 3 T's, cotton, coffee, in that economy. For me, actually, when he talked about the cotton, coffee, especially coffee, it takes me back to the cooperative days. Because I know, especially in the community where I'm coming from, Bugishu, look at Bugishu Cooperative Union, coffee. We have Soga, Lango, Kweterana. Coffee was the thing at that time.
Yes.
So when he talked about those commodities and the past, I kept thinking, wow, this is an opportunity now for UCA to be brought on board and mobilize these communities and get them to get back to the glory of those days. If the General Secretary walks us through the progress, we saw how the cooperative movement grew, how the education institutions.
And that is why many people, when you talk about cooperatives, because I think what was more pronounced then were agriculture cooperatives. They will tell you those were the good days where if you belong to any cooperative, you would pay fees. So they talk about the voucher system. I don't know if that can come again. And our farmers will really enjoy life. But at least I've witnessed it in a certain cooperative. That is in Masaka, Bukoma, Simbi, Chivinge, where the members of that cooperative, as long as they have their coffee, they'll pay fees to a school. I don't know how they do it, but the cooperative will pay schools fees. and then there's a way they sort themselves with this person because the coffee is deposited with them. So when they sell, but that is another advanced level, I think, of doing things in the modern day. But at least I witnessed it somewhere.
Maybe moderator, just to make a rejoinder to Kainza's submission. You see, I just want to add my voice onto whatever she has mentioned regarding support to cooperatives by government. You know, when the head of state clearly supports the model, then it's upon us Ugandans to really embrace it and move forward. Because like I listened to his communication yesterday, when he's mobilizing Ugandans to take advantage of the current PDM, Emyoga, and other government initiatives. And all of these ones are using the cooperative model. Because you know, a PDM is registered as a SACCO, a Savings and Credit Cooperative Organization. You know, sometimes I need to explain this because sometimes when you talk of a SACCO, someone may not understand that SACCO is a cooperative.
Yes.
A SACCO is a Savings and Credit Cooperative Organization, which is a cooperative that provides financial services to people. So we really want to appreciate His Excellency and the government for adopting the cooperative model. And this one is a very big opportunity to cooperatives in the country. Cooperators outside there who are listening, who are looking at us, please, let's take advantage of this. Because if you are to look outside Uganda and you see what is happening when we talk about economic independence, it's not a very big word. It just means the ability to support ourselves financially without external support and control. Based on that definition, where are we as cooperators? Take an example of Germany. You will go to Germany and find over 20 million people are members of cooperatives. Germany is leading when you talk about cooperatives in energy. It's leading. Just go to our neighbors here in Kenya and you see what is happening in Kenya. Cooperatives in Kenya are contributing 43%.
Maybe that is where, that's why I want to also to ask.
Yes.
Because when we have those good stories, German man, one would say maybe miles away. When we have Kenya, what is hindering us to get to that success as Ugandans? Yet when we look at when the first cooperative was formed in Uganda, when was it formed in Kenya, you know, you will see that history speaks different.
Very good. You see, and this is why we are here. Number one is about awareness. Like you rightly said, when you talk about cooperatives here, people think of coffee, cotton.
And very few warehouses and
very few are really understanding that cooperatives are in all sectors of the economy. Someone is a member of a SACCO, but he's saying cooperatives are not there. Why? Because there is lack of community awareness. This is why I call upon government, let's put a lot of resources in community awareness, mindset change. It is, yes, it is in the PDM as a pillar, but I think we need to invest in a lot for us as Ugandans to know the role of cooperatives. Secondly, we all know the history of cooperatives. I've been taking them through. At least we know that in the olden days, like you mentioned, in the 1960s, 61, when they formed the UCA, cooperative unions were very strong. By 1962, by independence, cooperatives were almost controlling 80% of the economy, controlling coffee, both Arabic and Robusta, 100% monopoly to Guinea cotton. By 1964, they were very strong and started the bank, the cooperative bank. Government realized that there was need for cooperative education. 1963, it established a cooperative college at Bukarasa that went to Chugum by 1974. So you can see the strengths of cooperatives. By 65, cooperatives only in agriculture we are controlling 325,311,500 shillings. You can imagine the strengths. But what happened? We all know that we went into political turmoil. And these cooperatives were targeted. They lost their produce, they lost their properties, and we are happy that the government is trying to compensate them. The current government is compensating them. Much as challenges are there, like we have had, but the government has played its role of compensating them. So had we not gone through these turmoils, possibly we would be ahead of Kenya, because by then cooperatives here were ahead of Kenya. Yes. Fortunately, Kenyans didn't go through those wars where our unions really lost their properties. But you can see the political stability that we have had for this period, and hence we have taken advantage of that, and today we see cooperatives very strong. You go to the financial sector, circles are very strong now, to the extent that we have a circle like Wazalendo, which is bigger than some of the commercial banks here. So when we talk about economic independence, cooperators outside there, for example, in the financial sector, we want to see cooperatives controlling savings like it is in Kuwait. Over 80% of the national savings controlled by cooperatives. So we would want to see now these circles coming up very strong, and then we consolidate our money through a cooperative bank so that we control the financial sector. We go to the insurance. We want to see these cooperatives consolidating their wealth and controlling the insurance sector, whereby you would find, like it is in Kenya, the biggest insurance company being Cooperative Insurance Company. Would really want to see a very big insurance company here purely owned by cooperatives. Let's go to agriculture. We would want to see, why should, Mr. Chirabo, why should our people continue to export raw products? The president has been really focusing on this, and that is why now NDP 4 is focusing on agro-industrialization, because we are tired as a country, and we cannot really sit down and say we are economically independent when we are still exporting raw products. You can imagine you export coffee to Switzerland. You pay a farmer. This season I'm a farmer. I grow coffee. I received 13,500 per kilo. But now when my coffee goes to Netherlands, it's processed into Nescafe. A kilogram of Nescafe here in a supermarket, you can't imagine how much it costs. It's almost close to 200,000 Ugandan shillings. So the question is, are we economically independent? No, because we are still depending on Europe to process our coffee and then again send us the coffee at a very expensive price. So economically, what do we need to do is now to empower these cooperative unions like it was. You can imagine by 1952, a cooperative society established a coffee processing plant in Chabakuza. 1952. By 1962 independence, cooperatives owned 14 gineries and 7 coffee churning works. So by what do we mean? If we move at that pace, the way we were then, because forget about the political turmoil, we are now done with that situation. We are now politically stable. So assuming we take that advantage of the political stability, then we consolidate all our coffee as unions. Then we work with the government. We have a coffee soluble plant here where we can actually process coffee and export a finished product. Then we shall say we are economically independent, because we will be controlling the entire value chain and Ugandans will make money. You go to cotton. Why would us grow cotton, export cotton, but you run to Owino to buy Mivumba?
Well, so much we can say when it comes to why, and that brings us that maybe we've passed on opportunities for quite a long time, and we must now focus on ensuring that we have these cooperatives very strong and they can lead us to economic independence. Now, Justin, he has given us, Ivan has given us a detailed and a proper picture how these cooperatives can really lead us to financial or economic independence. But let's look at the major challenges facing them right now. One of the things is for the produce, I've seen success. In the transport sector, I must say, yes, I've seen success. When I look at, yes, transport, the likes of Wakula Nume, you know, they are doing very well. Energy, they are doing very well. But now the drama is here in these financial, most of the circles. That is where we are finding a lot of problems. Challenge after challenge. Someone comes out and says, but you see, we are the founders of this thing. He tells you openly that, you know, Mr. Chirabo, I don't know when you joined, but
yes, Mr. Chirabo, as Uganda Cooperative Alliance, we have carried out a capacity needs assessment.
Okay.
This capacity needs assessment was done countrywide. We had a sample of different cooperatives in the different regions of the country, and we have come up with a report which clearly documents the challenges, some of the challenges that the cooperatives in Uganda face. And on a quick note, we can look at issues of access to finance. This is one of the issues. And that is why, as a Uganda Cooperative Alliance, we are adopting the gospel of socio-economic transformation. Government is coming up, government is focusing on there's an acronym, it's called ATMs. Government is putting a lot of effort in agro-industrialization, effort in tourism, mineral development, and the digitalization of the economy. So as you see, we are saying, yes, let's engage our cooperators. Let's engage Ugandans to tap onto these opportunities. If it's issues of finance, we are here preaching the gospel of the cooperative bank. We feel if the cooperative bank was revived, and thanks to government, because we were given a cabinet memo, we've taken on the consultations. Actually, at this level, we only need to benchmark with a few of our neighbors and other nations to see how they've done it, how we can improve from the past mistakes. So that is one of the proposed models to help out in financial inclusion. Secondly, you talked about the founder syndrome, we can also call it the founder syndrome, where the traditional someone says, I'm the vision bearer, I began this cooperative, and they really want to take center in everything. Yes. We are saying, we are appealing to our cooperators out there that please open up actually for us in cooperatives, we work on principles. There is open and voluntary membership. Members are free to get into the cooperative, and there's democracy.
Is it free entry or free exit?
Yes, that's how democratic. Open and voluntary. Open and voluntary member, yes, for cooperatives. So we are appealing to thank you to the vision bearers, thank you to the sponsors that yes, we began this cooperative, but we want to open up this space. Why would we open this space? One, we want to see new ideas brought on board. For instance, we want to see women engaged in this, actually in our capacity needs assessment. We established that women and the youth have not tapped much into the cooperative sector. They've not gotten into. So we are appealing to the cooperators out there that we should encourage the young people, because young people come on board with new ideas. We are talking about digitalization. This time the world is going we are all going, global. We are onto the technology. We are doing everything. Most of the things we're going to be doing online. So we want the cooperative sector to tap into digitalization. How these young people can help us reach out to the markets, market the products, seek market out there, and show the world what we have. So we are saying that the space should be opened up. The other issues, some of the other challenges that we established in the field were to do with the understanding of the ideology. We need to do more sensitization, as you see, let people get more to appreciate our principles, because we are given that mandate under Section 33 of the Cooperative Societies Act, Cap 107. We are given mandate, as you see, to do capacity building, to represent the community, the cooperative community, on any issues of legal and issues that are upcoming in the area of cooperatives. So those are some of the challenges that we're really glaring, and as you see, we are here to share, we're here to engage our cooperatives countrywide on the best way forward, because it has to be a joint. We need to appreciate these challenges, and together we work towards ignition.
Maybe just to add, on top of the challenges that she has mentioned, clearly we also looked at the issues of governance, which is that's principle number 2, democratic member control, where cooperators are free to elect their leaders, the boards, the supervisor, and the vetting. So there are those challenges of governance. However, when we went deeper, we actually discovered that governance is caused by lack of information. People are not aware.
Greed.
No, lack of information. Once the members are empowered and they know their roles and rights as members, then a chairman board cannot manipulate them. But you see, they are being manipulated because they don't know. They feel the board is the alpha and the omega. They feel the manager is the alpha and the omega, to the extent that even in some instances, we discovered that a manager reached an extent of suspending the board. Manager of a SACCO, suspending the board. And when we went to dig deeper, and the SACCO collapsed. So, but when we went to dig deeper, we actually discovered that the board members did not know their roles. They knew the manager is their boss. So that one takes us back to capacity building, like she was mentioning. The other challenge we discovered is the legal lacuna, especially in SACCOs. And it has really affected the SACCOs very much, to the extent that the SACCOs are currently subjected to 3 laws and 3 regulators. That is the Bank of Uganda, for those SACCOs which are big enough, the SACCOs that have the share capital of 500 million and the voluntary savings of 1.5 billion, they are supposed to go to Bank of Uganda. Then other SACCOs are supposed to go under Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. Whereas the revised Cooperative Societies Act, CAP 107, requires the SACCOs to come back to the registrar from Section 55A. So that one created a lacuna.
So however, there must be harmonization.
Yes, yes. However, I want to thank the government because when we had our National Cooperative Consultative meeting last year, 28th of September, the cooperators countrywide resolved that this lacuna should be addressed. We wrote to government through the Attorney General. The Attorney General recommended that all the 3 laws needed to be harmonized and amended. And it has been done. In fact, this week on Monday, we had a meeting at Uganda Law Reform Commission, and we have submitted everything. And we know now, once it has reached that level, we are going to come up with a very good law and regulation for SACCOs. But it's a challenge. The other challenge is about marketing. Yes, we aggregate our produce in some cooperatives, but there is a challenge of marketing. So we don't do proper marketing, and eventually members are not benefiting. So, however, I want really to inform Ugandans that amidst these challenges, we have registered a lot of successes as cooperators in the country. I can authoritatively tell you that today, over 16% of our people are employed in cooperatives, especially SACCOs. 16% of Ugandans are now employed. Just go to the recent study. 16%. And our cooperatives currently are contributing 2.68% to GDP. So we are moving. There was a time when we were contributing almost 0. But now you see where we are. If you went down there and you see a cooperative like Wazalendo now, it has very many staff and other cooperatives. So this is a very big achievement to the country. And I think we are really heading towards that economic independence. And you know, for a country to be economically independent, it is about the citizenry. It's about the citizenry.
Owning the value chain.
Yes, it's at family level, Chirabo, at your family level. If you are to say Mr. Chirabo is economically independent, it depends on your ability to support your family without external support and control. There is external support and control. So where we are heading as a country, because like you mentioned, you can really see a lot of progress in these cooperatives. Just go to Chibinge.
True.
I know you love Chibinge so much.
Yes, I've too
Go to Ankole Coffee Producers Cooperative Union. Go to Okoro Coffee. Go to Bugisu. Go to Sebei Eregon. Go to Masaka. Go to Wamara here. They are really now into coffee. I'm now mentioning a coffee.
Yes.
They are into coffee. They supply inputs to their farmers. Then they aggregate the coffee. Fortunately, they have their stores. Though some of them have not been renovated, but at least the stores are there. Then after aggregation, some of them are adding value and export. However, now, we now need to move a step further bring all this coffee together into one soluble plant, and then be able to export a finished product. Then you go to health. We have health cooperatives.
Many of them.
Many of them. And where they are heading in the future, we are looking at them having the best medical facilities in this country, like it is in Brazil.
We hope we get to that. I've just received a message, someone asking me, thank you so much, Mujuni Samuel, for watching. Someone has just asked me here and said, you're talking about cooperatives. We've had a circle, we once tried, he said, some grouping. Now, help us how we advance into a cooperative of the nature you're talking about. And I'll bring this to Justin here.
Yes.
It's because he says, people do savings. You'll find a group of people, for them they will tell you what our biggest challenge is during Christmas. We don't have money. People have to travel to the village, people have to eat and all that. So for us, we save from the year when it begins this particular, by the end of the year, we have a lot of money on us.
Yes.
I know of a group that saves that. They were, I think, about 10, and by the end of the year, they had over 24 million.
Yes. No,
now
Mr.
the question
Chirago,
was, we sit share, everyone goes through Christmas.
Yes.
Some have tried to help each other market together, but formalization,
Yes.
making it something recognizable, also to benefit from so many benefits actually.
Mr. Chirago, I'm glad that those people already have a common interest, because at least they've come together, you know, to save that money. They say we are saving, but now what we need to help that group is registration. Of course, when you come together with that common interest, that to formalize it, we need to go through the processes. You need to get to the district. When you get to the district level, we have the commercial officers. They will help the group on the formalities, how with the forms they will have to fill, and then eventually we shall see this group registered as a circle with a registrar of cooperatives. Even as at Uganda Cooperative Alliance, we also have technical people who help out on registration. But it's a process. They let them visit the district commercial officers. They are the ones who, though the law says we should have cooperative officers in every district, but currently the resource is not enough to enable us to have cooperative officers in all our districts. But commercial officers out there are doing a good job. They are helping out. Actually, for us, as you see, we look at them as our foot soldiers in the community as far as cooperatives are concerned. So the group needs to formally reach out to the district commercial officer. They'll help them out to fill the forms. And of course, I believe as long as their membership is 30 members and above, that's now a primary cooperative. It's a SACA at that level. They'll help them out with the procedures, how to fill those forms, and eventually transit into, they'll be given a probationary period, but they've been around for some time. And having looked through their documents to see the membership, they are saving, how much are they saving, the shares, they will be guided through all that, and formally they register. It's as such that they can even tap into other opportunities that are existing. When the president is talking about the PDM, the MIOGAs, so if they are formally registered, those are now the opportunities. Even us as UCA, we can come in for sensitization, for capacity building, to enable them work better.
Now, Chimera Robert here is asking, help me know, what does Uganda Cooperative Alliance do? Because he says cooperatives have been there. Now, what do they do? How can they help us as people with a cooperative? Must I also register with them? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank our comrade, cooperator, for that question. Like as earlier mentioned, Uganda Cooperative Alliance was registered on the 17th of June 1961 as the umbrella body for all registered cooperative societies. For us, we're a bit unique. We are not like these other member-based organizations. For us, we are an umbrella for everything that has the word cooperative society in the name falls under Uganda Cooperative Alliance by law. Now, what do we do? Number one is exactly what we are doing now, capacity building. Capacity building of whichever form. Talk about trainings. I heard the president the other day was talking about, you know, people asking for money, workshops and whichever. For us, we are not, that is not our approach. Our approach is capacity building. We go to the lowest person. And this is why we really appreciate UBC. You know, now as we are here, even a person deep there in the garden is able to see and understand and learn, as compared to if I was to hold a workshop in Kampala and then I invite a few people. But using this media, you reach out to many, especially down there, who are able to, someone who can, you will just go to a trading center. They always call me. I've been in a trading center, and now they know every Wednesday. It was because of independence, but they know every Wednesday, 8 to 9. They go to a trading center if it doesn't have a TV. Then they are there following, learning. So this is capacity building. Capacity building in the form of community awareness, form of trainings, in the form of support to policy formulation, implementation, and compliance. And then number 2, we do lobby and advocacy as our legal mandate. In the old law, Cap 112, Section 29, it says that the Board of Uganda Cooperative Alliance shall engage government on matters of policy relating to the cooperative movement. Now it is Section 33 of Cap 107, the revised one. Then we go to another one. The old law, Section 73, mandates UCA to carry out arbitration. It is now 146 in the Cap 107. So what does it mean? It means the law says that in case of a dispute touching the business of a cooperative, either between cooperatives, between a member and a cooperative, present and past staff or member, then the matter shall not be taken to court, but rather shall go through arbitration. And then the board of UCA has got a role to play. And the subsection 5 says that in the event that the parties fail to appoint an arbitrator, then on request of either party, the General Secretary of Uganda Cooperative Alliance shall appoint an arbitrator. This is a legal mandate. There is also a precedence. If you go to Google, there is a ruling by Honorable Andrew Basheija, Justice Andrew Basheija of 2012 in Mbarara, which clearly says that whenever there is any dispute case within a cooperative, the matter shall not be taken to any court, whether magistrate or high court, but rather shall go to Uganda Cooperative Alliance. It is the one that is mandated by law to do arbitration if the parties fail to get an arbitrator. Then another one, the other role that we play is resource mobilization. We work with different partners. Like Justin talked about the agro-processing facilities. Yes. We are working with the government, and we are appreciative of government of Uganda, because government, having realized our role, they gave us a subvention. Subvention is supporting to UCA for UCA to be able to support cooperative development work in the country. So having received that subvention, then we are able to do all this work that we are doing, such that even the lowest person can really be supported through cooperatives. We train all these commercial officers across the country, because these are the foot soldiers. They are the people in the districts supporting cooperatives in all the districts. We supported, we trained the unions, the area cooperative enterprises and other cooperatives. We are now spearheading the establishment of the cooperative bank. We are spearheading cooperative education. So we are doing a lot. So we work with the government, mobilize resources for cooperative development, work with different partners. Now, talk about this issue of the agro-processing facilities. Government of Uganda has done a lot to support farmers downstream.
Yes.
But there is a problem, the challenge I still see is community awareness. Most farmers are not aware of these facilities. And this is why now government, working with UCA, we are really championing this. Government did a lot. Just an example, through CAIP, Community Agriculture Infrastructure Improvement Program, they established over 276 facilities across the country to support rice, coffee, dairy, rice, and maize. Then they also came up with a new project. It is Agricultural Cluster Development Project, where they also constructed over 275 facilities supporting 5 enterprises. The maize, the beans, the rice, the coffee, the cassava. So across the country, in almost all regions. And then you have NADS, you have OWC, you have NUSAF. There are so many. So the facilities are very many downstream there. So what we are doing as UCA, which is part of our mandate, is now to partner with the government, build that capacity of the farmers, create awareness so that the farmers can use these facilities across the country, aggregate their produce together. And then also, in case there are some challenges regarding these APFs, then as mandated Section 33, we now engage government. If it is the issue of electricity, maybe the facility is not working because there is no power, then we engage government on issues of power. If it is the road, we engage Ministry of Works on the issue of the road. If it is water, whichever way, this is what we do as Uganda Cooperative Alliance.
Well, the person who asked about the mandate, that is what Uganda Cooperative Alliance does. One says, okay, how can cooperatives fight unemployment? Yeah.
Already I have mentioned in the country
that
cooperatives currently are employing over 16% of Ugandans. That is one aspect of employment. And looking at now, if you are to look at the current trend, how cooperatives are moving, especially PDM, then more people are going to be employed. Yeah. So I really want to thank UBC that we always have this opportunity to educate, to share information with Ugandans. Like this caller now, so possibly didn't know that cooperatives are employing many people.
But
definitely. It is true. And many people are employed. And myself, I've been in the cooperatives for 21 years. I started as a cashier of a SACCO. Meaning, if the cooperatives were not there, possibly I wouldn't have a job. Yeah.
Very interesting here. And the good thing is now, every day people get to understand what seriously are cooperatives. We want to move away from the other thinking that a cooperative must be based on produce, to move away from the other thinking that cooperatives came, shined, reached the climax, now went down and have never woken up, apart from a few. The cooperative movement is moving so gracefully in this country. I think we must just understand that there have come other forms of cooperatives, not produce only.
Types and forms.
Yes.
Types and forms, excuse me. Now, with the coming of these, how you best in that profession? Like today I'm pushing for one of the journalists.
Yes,
and I know very soon, once it kicks off, the accountants will have nothing to say. Because ours will have so much.
No, accountants, we have a cooperative already.
Yes, but
it is in the billions of money.
Oh.
Yes. Accountant SACCO, ICPU SACCO, I'm a member.
Oh.
I sat with them during our CPD and we agreed to form a SACCO, and you know accountants are very fast. Number two, accountants are not poor. Accountants are rich people. But we have been poor, the fact that we are donating our money, passing on opportunities repeatedly. But when they got the good message, immediately we formed our SACCO. Very soon it will be the largest SACCO in the country because accountants have money. Now, I want to tell Ugandans that all professionals now are moving very fast to forming SACCOs. We are likely next week we shall come with one of the representatives of the institutional SACCOs. Wazalendo is an institutional SACCO. We have the Lawyers SACCO, Uganda Law Society. We have the medics, they have a SACCO. Now I'm very happy that the journalists are coming up with a SACCO or any form of cooperative. And I want to tell you, journalists, you are not poor people, you are rich people. It's about consolidating your wealth, the knowledge and the skills together. I will be very happy tomorrow if I see that the biggest SACCO in the country is owned by journalists. Yeah.
Well, we can take a whole day discussing cooperatives in Uganda and how best we can ensure that they act as a vehicle for economic transformation. Today we are looking at cooperatives as a vehicle to economic independence. This model if we can excel in it, because we shouldn't read of it in other countries. The cooperative bank of this country, this circle has this amount. We can do that home.
True.
Surely.
And I'm happy for those that thrived or were able to survive those tough times. The Bugisu, when you talk about it, and a few. Some didn't sail through, but there are those that sailed through. Of course, they could have lost property, but with the government compensation, maybe many will come back, though it also had some challenges here and there. Now, Justin, important also to know is what are those principles that govern cooperatives? Because there's doing something right
Yes.
and just doing something, but you move on.
Yes. So cooperatives globally, as I said, we have 7 principles that we operate on, and this has made us thrive in all sectors, all types of cooperatives. One, we talked about free, open and free membership, entry. People are free to get into cooperatives, to form cooperatives. There is democracy, democratic member control. People are free. It's one member, one vote in cooperatives. We have member economic participation. This is the pillar we are talking about today. We have concern for community, cooperation among cooperatives, member education, training, yes, and training is key. That's why the GS General Secretary was talking about the education institutions. Personally, I'm a student at Ndeja University studying cooperatives and agribusiness. So these are the principles, and cooperatives are member-formed, member-owned, and they benefit the members. So that is the beauty, and that's the uniqueness that differentiates us from other models of development. And we call upon Ugandans that at such a time when we are celebrating our 62nd independence, it's a time to adopt this model for development. And thank you, UBC, for availing this platform.
Now, GS, yes, time is flying.
Yes, true.
But when we talk about cooperatives, she said cooperative education. Apart from Uganda Alliance, Uganda Cooperative Alliance, going and meeting groups and teaching them, sensitizing them, cooperative education has been slow. And I must say, most of the times, people have the wrong information and they believe it is the right information. Talk about the circles we've just talked about. A person will tell you, they are going to give us money, let's form a circle. Now, in your introductory remarks, while defining a cooperative, you said no, someone should not tell you. When you go into law, there are challenges there. A cooperative is not a company. Someone is viewing it, and even auditors, they are looking at profits, yet cooperatives are not dealing with profits. So, all of these things, how do we go back to the right track? Because we seem to be taking a direction. Things may be working for us, but at a certain time, we hit the rock.
Thank you so much, moderator. You know, when cooperative education is very wide, but I will just try to summarize.
Briefly, we don't have so many minutes.
Yes, like Honorable was just mentioned, Justin, cooperatives are based on 7 international principles, not only for Uganda, but there are 7 international principles that were developed in Vienna Congress in 1966 and then revised in 1995 under Manchester Congress, where they added on the 7th principle concerning for community. I will not go through them. She has really ably discussed them. So that one now takes us to cooperative education. How many of us understand these principles? You may know them, you can list them, but do you understand the nitty-gritties of these principles? Do we understand why and how these principles were developed? Then do we understand the values, the core values of these cooperatives? So the whole thing comes back to cooperative education. Now, it's unfortunate, moderator, I read through the book of commerce in Uganda here, approved by the Curriculum Development Center. Now, like we have mentioned the international principles, when you go to that book, you will find that they are talking about sharing of dividends as a principle. Then they are talking about equity and equality as principles, which is totally wrong. So what is the problem? The problem is about awareness or understanding cooperatives. So, and it is not, anyway, what we need to do as a country is really to invest more in education, like it is in Kenya and Tanzania.
Thank
Kenya
you
and
so
Tanzania, they have
much.
reached
Time
this.
is not allowing me. We have to move into another show. That is the extra. I just want to thank so much my guests.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you
always
so much.
turning up and ensure that we sensitize, we educate, we inform people about the cooperative movement, a vehicle we believe will lead us to economic growth and economic independence. Why? Because you, the Ugandans, own your economy, own the value chain. Wealth remains with us. Wealth is made by us. See you in the next hour. Have a lovely morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The East Africa UK Tourism and Cultural Expo 2024 is here, happening on 8th and 9th of November 2024 under the theme Enhancing Tourism as Engine for Social and Economic